Are you uncomfortable on the bike? Do you always seem to be warding off an injury? Or do you struggle to get the power out? Well, today we're back at Synergy Performance to find out the most common reasons why your bike fit might be holding you back. A few months ago, we came to Synergy Performance and learned 11 bike fit tips to get me riding more comfortable and riding faster. But what about the things that we should avoid? As a professional bike fitter, Luke has seen it all. And here are the most common bike fit mistakes that come through his door. What should we be avoiding?
First, I'm going to start off with is saddle height. Now, it's the one thing I see is incorrect most common of the time. It's very, very rare I see someone that come in here and we're not having to adjust their saddle height. Now, we're going to focus particularly on excessive saddle height. So I'd say probably 7 out of 10 times I'm putting people's saddle height down rather than up. Commonly, excessive saddle height sometimes actually feels better because it gives you the sensation that you're almost like stamping on the pedals. Now, we don't want a pedaling dynamic that is stamping on the pedals. We want stability and control throughout the pedal stroke. Now, what happens when you get this real stamping sensation is you're using, if we kind of look at the pedal stroke as like a clock, you're utilizing that 2 till 4 really strongly. That's very quad dominant. Your quads are not very strong. They're not very good at clearing lactate. And especially if you're a triathlete and you need to run off the bike, doing a quad dominant exercise is, you just fatigue them a lot. So definitely something we see a lot. And it's the area that if saddle height is too high and excessively, I've seen everything up to sort of 3.5 centimeters too high, can cause every kind of discomfort under the sun. Numbness in your hands, numbness in your feet, lower back pain, saddle sores. It's a real easy way to encourage a compensation on the bike. So sitting off to one side, getting all one-sided discomforts then, muscle imbalances and all that kind of stuff. The second one is poorly fitting shoes. Now, when I say poorly fitting shoes, I'm more talking about not respecting your foot shape when picking a cycling shoe. I guess a lot of tradition in shoe design stems from probably Italian designers liking really sleek looking cycling shoes. As a British person, we do not have that foot. We have a slightly shorter, more boxy like foot with a lot of width and potential collapsing of an arch. So when an arch collapses, splays and spreads more, you need more width, potentially higher volume. What happens then is you're trying to cram your foot into a narrow shoe, and then also the mistake I sometimes see is people then size up shoes to accommodate that width.
Is there any telltale signs that someone might be in the wrong shoes?
If you're getting any kind of discomfort, definitely it may be a thing to look out for. Generally, just look at your feet. I would say it's not rocket science. Stand on a piece of paper, draw around your feet, make sure you're standing so your foot splays. Have a look at that piece of paper, hold up your cycling shoe and have a look at the shape of the sole. When you're kind of looking at we want to let the foot relax and splay and have space, let those capillaries and nerves kind of do their thing and be at ease. You'll find a lot of not just comfort improvements, but a lot of performance improvements can come from the shoe. It's the one area that I would say invest in. Your connection with the bike at the foot area, an extra £100 is going to be way better than any other upgrade on your bike, both performance wise, because you're letting your nervous system calm down, but also comfort wise and enjoyment. And that's why we're all here to ride bikes, to enjoy them. So number 3, cleat setup. So kind of goes hand in hand with what we just talked about, where sizing up the shoe to accommodate that foot and then puts the cleats far too far forward. I don't know whether it's ideologies from tradition that's kind of stuck, but it's definitely out there on the internet now still, is place the pedal axle under the ball of the foot. Now, the problem is, if I show you here, if we place that pedal axle right on the ball, this first metatarsal, you can see that quite a lot of the pedal structure is going through the toes, and especially if we're running a saddle too high, plantar flexing a lot, it's promoting a lot of this toe driving. So one thing I tend to say to people is take your insole out, have a look at your insole. If you're seeing wear marks on the toes, it's a good telltale sign that you're probably driving through your toes a lot, which again, not very good lever, It's not going to promote stability, connection, comfort, performance. Going to be using a lot of these ligaments around your ankle, around your knee to stabilize that, which we don't want. We want to be stable, we want to be planted and powerful. The fourth one is saddle angle, and more referring to when people will tip the nose of a saddle down. This is kind of more complex, and again, we'll come onto this in another video. Saddle selection is a whole complex thing of its own, but just dipping the nose is normally a compensation I see for something else not being set correctly. So potentially saddle too high, someone gravitates towards the nose, over time that dips down, maybe sit bone's not supported, flare down either side of the saddle. That means a lot of soft tissue pressure from the front. They dip the nose to compensate that. The thing you've got to understand is this is where your center of mass is. If you are placed on this part of the saddle and the nose of it is dipped down, that's a slope that is going to throw your center of mass towards the front of the bike. And we're relying on the front of the bike to do a lot of the control. We basically don't want to be stabilizing our mass at the front of the bike. This is where we want that to happen. So a lot of potential hand numbness, lower back pain, tightness in your shoulders can all stem from potentially nose being tipped down. Q factor. Now,
What is Q factor?
yeah, so more we're referring to basically stance. Q factor is an element in the cycling industry that basically denotes the distance from the crank faces.
Yeah.
But we're just going to refer to this as basically how wide apart are your feet. Now, bikes are becoming narrower, mainly through design of aerodynamics, but also to help 20-year-old athletes corner, go faster around bends. And definitely there are people that benefit from going narrow, but I'm talking about the majority of people I see that are potentially getting lower back pain, saddle discomfort. A few things that to note from this is that a lot of hip impingement, poor hip mobility, all of these things kind of are leaning someone more towards potentially looking at increasing their stance. And there's ways you can do that. We can look at simply applying some pedal washers in 2 mil increments. Got to be careful with these. You can't go on some pedal systems, can't go any more than 4 mil on either side. Some wider axle pedals, so Shimano Ultegra, they do a 4 mil wider pedal axle, Speed Play. Some bike fitting related ones like SQ Lab and all that they make.
I know that Time have just released their new pedals and they've got 3 different spindle lengths.
We like that.
Maybe that's progress.
That is good. Yeah, we like this. There's also I fit these a lot. These are pedal adapters. It basically increases the stance. This one's a 16 mil increase, and this one's a 20 mil increase. I just get these fabricated, and I'm using them a lot. If you kind of look at yourself in the mirror, if you see you've got almost this like bowed shape tibia, like banana shaped lower limbs, completely normal. But to keep your knees tracking straight, to keep your comfort on the saddle, you're really going to benefit from increasing that stance and keep those knee and ankle tracking in line with each other. It's also an area that has the smallest amount of adjustability on a bike. So on a Cleat out the box, on the standard pedal, you've got 4 mil of range of motion either way. That's not enough at all. So this kind of getting better like with the Time pedals, but definitely there is room for more manufacturers to kind of incorporate this into stuff. Crank length is talked about in depth everywhere.
It is. You're opening a can of worms here.
I know, it is one of those ones that every forum has a different opinion on what's beneficial, and the number of people I see that have been running 175 cranks for 15 years and they refuse to change. It's generally cranks are too long, especially for women. 100%, like a lot of women could benefit from this like 150 to 160 market. Again, it's not good enough if people have generally shorter lever limbs. They're going to benefit from going much shorter cranks.
Yep.
This tightness, this inflexibility in your hips, this impingement in your hips, potentially knees flaring out. All of these are compensations that your body is wanting to get away from this over the top of the pedal stroke being impinged. There is a study out there, I'll try and find it and get into the link below. I think it was comparing like 190 mil cranks and like 130. There wasn't a noticeable difference in ability to produce power on those two different cranks.
There's a lot of pro riders seem to be going to shorter cranks. Why are they doing it? Like a lot of Ineos are now using 165s.
Aerodynamic benefits. So if your cranks are shorter, you're able to impinge your hip more to be able to get into that aero position.
Yeah.
Your whole torso is able to drop down. You're able to drop the front end. When you're talking the speed of like 40, 50k an hour plus, that's a big saving.
Another marginal gain.
Yeah, and not all pros have amazing level of function. Some will. There's some people in the peloton that have asymmetries, that have potential tightness in hip flexors and all that. So again, probably down that route as well of just comfort as well. When understanding about excessive reach, it's comfort related, but a big overlooked point is more about safety. So big compensation I see in the body when someone doesn't like the connection on the front end of the bike is they almost shift their hands further back along the bar. They move from the lever point to holding sort of on the curve of the bar. You may notice you do that. You may get numb hands, or you may get some kind of discomfort that makes you go, maybe it's my reach. Sort of lower back pain, tightness in the upper body. If you feel like your shoulders are almost retreating around your torso to almost connect to the front of the bike, that's a sign potentially reach, or the kind of height of the bars are not set correctly. Now, from my point of view, yes, comfort is king, but also we want to be safe. And if you have to change your postural position to pull the brakes and slow yourself down, and that may take half a second to reposition yourself before you need to pull on the brakes for a car or an obstacle, that's not ideal. So one thing I see a lot is people shifting the nose of the saddle really far forward on the rails to compensate for excessive reach. Don't do that. It's going to disrupt your weight distribution. It's going to throw a lot of weight, your center of mass, towards the front of the bike, put a lot of pressure on your hands. And if this is the area that we're trying to gain better connection through and be comfortable, throwing all that weight further forward is not ideal. So setting the fore and aft based on the rider, the goals they're going to do, we do that kind of first before we even look at the front end of the bike, and then you make the reach adjustments suitable for that shifter angle. Now, it's really common that I see that people sometimes rotate the shifter in a quite an aggressive upwards position to reduce the overall reach of the bike. Now, yes, some people do that to compensate for that, but also there's no kind of like user manual out there and like, you should have it like this. And is what we are looking for is Shimano and SRAM, that they designed that lever to connect with your hand in a normal kind of way that's going to not like impinge any kind of wrist action. So I see a lot of potential numbness in the hands. This causes a lot of bending of the elbow, compression of the neck, upper body tightness. So if you are running your shifters at that sort of aggressive tilt, it's going to promote you to kind of move your hands further back because that angle is too aggressive. And then that whole shift of the bar, you then lose the access to the drops, because now the drops are pointing towards the ground rather than a flat surface. And again, if you're holding the drops and you don't realize this, like no one said to you, or you've not noticed it, maybe you get this sensation again of like compression in the neck, a lot of tension.
So rather than rotating your bars or your shifters up to reduce your reach, what is the proper way to reduce your reach?
A really cost-effective way, it's free, is drop the bar back down, unwrap the tape, and lift the lever back up to a flat position. Now, based on different bar shapes, we can probably get anywhere from half a centimetre to a centimetre reach reduction from simply placing the shifter on the correct place on the bar. The next thing is bar width. So really common that I see just bars far too wide, especially for women, maybe slightly narrower shoulders. Same with most men as well. I'm seeing sort of 42 centimetre bars coming on a small women specific bike,
Yeah.
and it's not acceptable. You need to go narrower. 34 centimeter bars. 36 gets you use a lot, but that 38 centimeters, all we're trying to do is basically match your shoulder width to the bars, keep this in a nice straight comfortable line. What happens when your bars are too wide is, one, you get a lot of requirement to like almost support yourself a bit more at the front end of the bike, but a compensation we see is a lot of this like wrist rolling action. If you feel like you're doing that and that's more comfortable, it's quite common that you probably want to go a bit more on your bars. Suboptimal geometries. Now this is it's a minefield. Lots of different bikes, manufacturers, models, they all vary. 54 is not generic across the board. It's not going to fit the same. Sizing charts, they're great because they take in inseam length, height, it gets you in the ballpark. If you're bang in the middle of a 52 or 54, the likelihood is that's going to be thereabouts. This range of adjustability is decreasing though with integrated cockpits. The chance of getting that perfect out of the box is getting harder. So definitely the method I would promote for this is fit first, buy after. Riding aggressive geometry when it's probably not the best bike for you. Really common one is like Tarmac SL8.
Good looking bike.
Amazing looking bike, but it was designed for highly functional racers. If you're on the border of two sizes, for example, and you maybe have a poor level of function, flexibility is something you need to work on, it may be better to go for the 56 rather than the 54 and be able to run less stack space of height. So a few things to look out for are the head tube height. It's like a big one because you've got very limited range of adjustability. Just bear in mind that there are some geometries out there that were designed to be raced, and when we sit at a desk all day and work and we want to jump on our bikes for a few hours a week to enjoy it and to go fast, comfort is speed. If you are not comfortable, if your nervous system is not calm and at peace with the connection with the bike, then it's going to be hard to progress and hit your peak performance.
Let us know if you've made any of these bike fit mistakes in the comments section below, as well as any of your own tips that you think we've missed. If you found this content useful, then give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more bikes, and we'll see you next time.